We're Mike and Ben Sikora, Bighorn Wealth Management in Denver, Colorado. We're the father and son planning team. Ben's come on to the business in the last couple of years and looking to be Mike's eventual successor. And so we met Cameo roughly about a year ago and brought her on board because we're looking to build some processes and build out, as I like to call it, our infrastructure. Ben, what were some of the challenges that you saw coming on board as a new advisor?
Put me on the spot here.
I did.
I guess one of the biggest things for me is when you're kind of jumping into this whole thing, it's just, we always like to say baptism by fire. You're just learning so much all at once and trying to figure out how to implement it, and not only implement it, but also keep up to date with it. And then, constantly be, changing with the changing things within the systems and the firm, just trying to get your feet wet and jumping into something that's already been put into place. And trying to, organize and navigate your way through it.
And one of the challenges being a small firm, I was basically a sole practitioner with an operations manager. And so what I found is too much stuff is in my head in terms of how to do things, the different processes and procedures. And I knew this fundamentally was a problem. And so one of the things we set out to do was to start to kind of take this knowledge that was in my head and put it on paper and put it into actionable strategies that someone like Ben, and we now have a new operations manager, could actually work with and execute on, and just ultimately streamline the operations of the firm. A lot of those different things had to do with started with our CRM. We instituted a new CRM, so we had to build out things like workflows, the activity processes, and just kind of get this stuff kind of where we could see it, and then ultimately refine it from there. So Cameo was really instrumental in helping us kind of visualize and then ultimately, build out a plan that we could execute on. And I think it's made a really big difference in terms of our firm, especially as we're going forward now. In this year, it took us quite a while to do that. But as we're going forward, and what we're seeing is now as we have tasks and activities pop up, it works. It's streamlined. It's very efficient. We're not spending a lot of time having to explain things. We've also incorporated some meeting strategies in place so that our assistant, who's actually remote, can actually very easily work on the things that we put together and ultimately execute at a very high level. The idea of staying motivated during this whole process, for me, it was very easy. I knew where we're trying to go. Ultimately, we've got a succession plan that we're trying to execute on, which is going to take a couple of years. But it was easy to for me to be motivated, knowing that we've got to make these changes and we've got to institute these basic business activities in order for this to be an effective succession plan. Well, the last thing I want to do is leave Ben with a lot of unknowns and challenges in terms of how to just run a business. And so I think I was highly motivated to kind of get this stuff done. And then our meeting cadence with Cameo certainly helped with that. She was really instrumental in building agendas and ultimately, creating an action strategy that we just took, piece by piece by piece. And that ultimately is how we ended up where we are. And again, extremely pleased with what her input was. She's got a lot of experience in the financial service industry, so speaks the same language. Understand the challenges of financial advisors, and we were able to actually build out a pretty nice plan for ourselves.
In addition, I kind of want to piggyback off that too. I mean, working with Cameo, we were having a call every other week essentially, then kind of extended that as we progressed more and started to kind of indoctrinate the things that we were putting into practice. But she's incredibly easy to work with. She's exciting to work with, and kind of what what Mike was saying. She's fully immersed within the financial service industry. So she was able to speak to these things with a lot of credence and credibility, which made it easier. And kind of like you said, kept us motivated and excited about getting some of these things put into place.
Yeah, one of the challenges when you have a small firm, it's resources, and not only just human resources, but financial resources, and that's something you're always going to run up against. And it was it was a tough decision to make that kind of investment. But at the end of the day, I knew it had to be done, and I've been indoctrinated enough over the years to know that having coaches on your team, having experts on your team, at the end of the day, is going to allow you to make more money. I've tried doing this stuff on my own, looking at technology packages, and it's just not what we should be doing as financial advisors. You get stuck in the weeds, and ultimately you don't execute very well. So it's really worth the investment. And someone like Cameo and the other experts out there, to have them take you through this process. You have to spend a few bucks, but at the end of the day, it's been money that's been extremely well spent, and we're seeing a return on it. That's the other thing. Now that we've got the implementation done, our ability to execute and just the streamlined process, the time savings has just been incredible. And so just one of the things you have to do as a financial advisor and as a business owner. At times you just got to make the investment, and it's well worth it in the long run.
Kind of getting back to that point of what my challenges were, just getting my feet wet, understanding how the operations within the firm works, and how to again navigate those things. Since we started working with Cameo and we got the systems put in place, we cleaned up a lot of things. We had all these different initiatives. I feel now that I could function kind of on my own without the training wheels per se. Within the company without, feeling I'm kind of running around like a chicken without its head off.
Yeah, I completely, agree with that. And as this succession plan is taking place, the fact that Ben now is more autonomous, he can operate. I spent 3 months in Palm Springs this year, and he, managed the force, so to speak, but had the tools to be able to do that, and it actually worked really well. And we're both really excited about going forward. In terms of how this is going to work and how this business is going to continue to operate.